Namaste, everyone. In this particular lesson, I'd like to share with you one of my all-time favorite Yoga Shastras, one of the great sacred texts of yoga tradition. This particular text is called Upadesa Saram, and it was written in the 1920s by a great sage called Ramana Maharshi. Ramana was perhaps one of the greatest saints that lived during the 1900s. He remained in silence for long periods of his life, absorbed in inner bliss, peace, tranquility. And in his life, he composed a number of poetic works, devotional pieces in praise of Arunachala. And along the way, he also wrote two major texts that are attributed to him. One is called 40 Verses on Reality. And this particular text was composed over different time spans, and different verses were compiled together by his students and eventually approved by him and formed the 40 Verses on Reality. In addition to this, we also have Upadesa Saram. And Upadesa Saram was written by Ramana himself in one sitting. He went ahead and in 30 verses, he was able to capture the entire essence of yoga philosophy. He described in great eloquence and succinctness all the four major paths of yoga: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, all within these humble 30 verses. If we really wish to study classical yoga and the four paths of yoga, one of the other greatest reference points we can use is Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is an incredibly profound text. However, it's very, very long, about 700 verses, I believe. And that will take some time to study. However, Upadesa Saram, which you can find here in Essential Teachings of Yoga, all 30 verses are actually here. So I'd like to share with you today is simply verse number 2, the one that deals with Karma Yoga. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Kriti Mahodado Patina Karanam Palam Ashwalatam Gati Nirodhakam. He says, activity is obstructive to liberation, as any results obtained are impermanent, thus creating more bondage. And this is really important. This is the hub of where Karma Yoga begins. It says right from the very get-go that activity, karma, is obstructive to liberation. It's antagonistic to freedom. And when we take karma and the teachings of Karma Yoga and we take it out of the philosophical scope of what's happening as a cosmic principle, and we apply it to ourselves, we see that we're constantly in a state of activity. Right? We're constantly changing. We're constantly active. We're traveling. We're going here, going there, meeting this person, meeting that person. Our bodies are constantly changing. Every day we're getting a little bit older. Our health condition changes. Our skin changes. Our complexion changes. Our hair falls out. Our hair grows in. Everything. We're constantly on a physical level in a state of activity. And then when you begin to draw your attention inside, you notice that your mind is in a continuous state of activity as well. Your mind is constantly moving. It doesn't want to stay still. It's constantly dynamically changing. If you really look back and behind of what is the mind doing, why is the mind active, you'll begin to see that the mind is seeking peace. The mind is seeking happiness. You're doing things, you're acting, you're in a state of activity, in a state of karma, because you're seeking happiness on a very root level. Right? How you define your happiness and what you're doing may be different than what I'm doing, what he's doing, what she's doing, but fundamentally you're all doing everything to gain happiness, right? Gain satisfaction. We go to school to get the right job, we get the job to get the money so we can buy the things that make us happy, right? Like that works. We have relationships, we're active, we're helping our spouse, we're communicating with people all the time just to maintain happiness. to maintain balance and derive satisfaction. So we're constantly in a state of activity. And that's one aspect of our existence. But what Ramana says is very interesting. He says that activity, this state of doing, you as a doer, are actually antagonistic to happiness or to liberation. So long as you're doing something to gain happiness, so long will you be pushing happiness away. Because that's not the source of happiness. So, activity, you as doer, you as the doer, you as the active self that is going here, going there, doing this, doing that, and thinking this, thinking that, going into the past, going into the future, constantly in a state of activity on an internal level, are unconsciously denying happiness. You're repelling and pushing away happiness because you're fixated upon what we call samsara, the cycle of change, the cycle of karma, the wheel of cause and effect that gives, as the outcome of some causes, pleasure, that will be the effect, and of other causes, pain, that will also be the effect. And that's one aspect of your existence. However, you can be free of activity. You can exist without needing to do anything. You as you are, you as you are right now, free of ideas, free of concepts, free of mental conditioning, psychological conditioning, free of the idea of right and wrong, good and bad, I like this, I don't like that, I like him, I don't like her. When you drop all those stories and you simply allow yourself to be as you are, you begin to touch the source of the natural happiness that is part of your natural condition. And if you can just rest here and learn to love yourself as you are, not as you want to be, not as you'd like yourself to be, not as you were before, when you were skinnier, when you were more beautiful, when you were younger, when you were more perfect, and like this, and like that, and you had this, and you had that. Not then, and not when you're going to be more enlightened, and when you're going to be a yoga teacher, and you can go here, go there, do. But simply as you are right now. Just accepting yourself with all your imperfections, with all your, all your stories, and you just drop those stories and learn to love yourself as you are. You begin to touch something so much deeper. And you begin to find that which you so desperately longed for so long. And stillness, silence, peace. Something that's beyond the good and bad of the world, the right and wrong of the world, the pleasure and pain of the world, the change of the world. You need to just touch your own natural essence. We call this your Atma, or your soul. So you get to really touch the essence of who you are. You just learn to accept and love yourself as you are, without meaning to be different, without thinking there's something wrong with your experience right now. That feels so much better, right? Than when you're like tripping on like this, like that, like this, like that. I wish I was this, I wish I had that. I wish I was there, I wish I was here. All that stuff just falls away and you can just really come back into natural equipoise. Just love yourself, love everyone. And this is you as just pure being, what we talked about yesterday, Satchitananda. Your awareness comes back to a recognition of yourself, which is pure consciousness, free of any psychological conditioning. And the psychological conditioning is what keeps you trapped. It's what keeps making you think, compels you to seek out happiness by doing something. And by being in a state of activity in order to gain happiness from the outside. And it's very subtle, but every action, everything we do
is centered around gaining happiness from the outside. And you can drop that story. And just let go of the psychological conditions and not need to know, not need to figure it out, not need to fantasize about the future, remember your past, but simply be here now. As you are, it feels so good. And once you just had even a glimpse of your natural state, don't let it go. Just learn to stay here. This is the essential teaching. This is as far as a teacher can take you. They can point you to your natural condition, and that's it. The rest of the work is yours. The entire rest of all activity you should then focus your energy towards is simply training your mind to stay here. That is the supreme action. It's the supreme karma, if we were to say it like that. If you ever have this question, what should I do? What should I do? Do this. Do this. Just stay here. Take all your energy, draw your awareness back home. Stay here. Don't go anywhere. The second you go somewhere else, your happiness is going with it. Your happiness is running away from you. This is the final action, the final karma. Just using all your energy, all your awareness, all your Shakti to come back into Shiva, to come back into consciousness. There's no higher teachings, believe it or not. It's the natural yoga, the highest wisdom jnana. And Ramana Maharshi was constantly talking about jnana and wisdom and cultivating wisdom. And it may sound very abstract, but the second you let yourself be here, this is the wisdom. You found the path, you found the way home. So he says, so long as we're obsessed with the conceptual psychological conditioning and all the thoughts and ideas that flow through our mind, that is obstructing liberation. Because anything you gain as the outcome of all your activities will come and go. The job comes, the job goes. The relationship comes, the relationship goes. The vacation comes, the vacation goes. Bali comes, Bali goes. Right? Everything is constantly changing, and everything you gain will either give you some pleasure or some pain. Some things will be in between. You can't distinguish. It's kind of just neutral. Yeah? You kind of get bored of neutral after a while, so you're seeking some intensity, and you hope that the intensity is going to be pleasurable, and you're constantly pushing away pain. And you're constantly, typically, stuck in a psychological pattern of denying life by saying, God, I want more pleasure and I want less pain. Yeah? And you're just saying, and that's not the nature of life. Life is like, external life is like this. We can't stop pain. We can't stop pleasure. We enjoy pleasure to its maximum when we come, but we also know its limitation. And we know it's going to change. So we don't hold on to it. We enjoy it fully and know it will change, and we get even more enjoyment because we don't hold on to it. So we don't have any conditions around it. We're not yearning for more of it, so we can really enjoy it to the fullest by simply being mindfully aware of all the pleasures, all the pains, all the sorrow and suffering, all the joys and highs and bliss that we experience in the outside world. And we have a deeper, richer experience of human life when we simply accept life as it is. So long as we're creating our own bondage. Yeah? Bondage is not imposed upon you. It's not imposed by your society, by your culture, by your parents. You can set yourself free. Yeah? Set yourself free. Immortal words of Bob Marley. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Yeah? Thoughts, the desires, the fantasies, the history, the memories. That's the bondage. Free yourself from that condition. Just be natural. Be still in silence. Learn yoga, practice yoga, and you will find your freedom.